if you are going through difficult times, don't talk about them. Don't talk about them to anybody. There is a difference between being honest with yourself and complaining. Be honest with yourself about your situation, where you're at, but don't tell anybody what you're going through, bro, because if you do, that makes it real, not only in your mind, but in the mind of another person as well. And so now there's more energy being culminated and directed onto your problem and your situation. Don't tell anybody what you are going through until you have made it out of that situation and now you have a zero to hero story. Okay? Because I know so often people just talk about their woes and what they're going through and they complain. And that's essentially like causing evil speech towards yourself. That's essentially like cursing yourself that you'll stay in the same situation, you know? And so you have to have strength. You have to have resilience. And the thing about strength is that strength is soft. Strength is like hopeful, not just hopeful, but knowing that you're going to be fine. That's strength. Strength is taming of the mind. Taming of the mind so much so that you tame your speech and your action. So maybe your current situation is asking you to go within, learn certain practices that involve self-discipline, mental discipline, so that you be quiet about your situation to others and yourself. You stop complaining about your situation even to yourself, so that you can get on your own side and get a leg up off what you're going through and like not stay in that same situation. I've been in situations where there was really no way out. And then there was a way out, because God always makes a way out of any situation that you're going through. Especially if you learn the lesson and you are changed by the situation, changed by the pain, automatically forces of the universe come in and they take care of the parts that you can't take care of. They also see that you have done your spiritual work necessary to embody that situation, to get over that situation, and they go, oh, they learned. Let me not repeat this cycle. Let me take them out of this cycle. Let me not have them repeat the cycle. Let me not have them stay in the same karmic loops. If you study astrology in any way, you like, even if you have a basic understanding of astrology, you'll understand that Saturn is in the chart, it's the karaka for debt and like karmic lessons, life lessons, money. Saturn is karma, Saturn is health. That's why when we go through Saturn returns, we have like a sort of breakdown in our life of certain habits and even certain ways of seeing the world, right? Because Saturn rules our karma. Saturn rules our physical body here. You know, Saturn is the most important planet, arguably, in the entire chart, because when Saturn blesses you, the blessing is long-lasting. When Saturn gives you a lesson, the lesson is also long-lasting until you learn the lesson. So you gotta learn. There's no other way. Saturn is a teacher. Saturn is the elders. Saturn is your karma, you know, your guru. That's Saturn, essentially. So it's important. Saturn is the teacher, so it's important to bow down and be a student of life. Karma is life, and Saturn rules and governs karma. So if you have a blessed Saturn, it is usually because you have learned your lessons in this lifetime or in the previous lifetime. But we all have to rectify Saturn and work with Saturn. That is the most important planet to work. That is the most important planet to work on. So essentially, if you are going through problems and you complain, it's kind of like Saturn is always listening, and so you're gonna keep getting the same juice. You know what I mean? You're gonna keep getting the same stuff. It's not gonna change. So how do we change our situation? How do we change our karma? We change our karma by learning the lessons that are being presented to us. If you are going through something, you don't complain. You say thank you. You bow down. You get on your knees. You are a student now of the situation. You are now a student of life. And you learn the lesson that is being presented to you. This was my situation, okay? My personal story is that I went through absolute hell for many, many years of my life. Nobody knows this. I kept it all quiet. I made sure things looked good on the outside. But I was raised in very difficult situations. Poverty and, you know, situations where there was anger from the adults around me, and I became a therapist at the age of 3 years old. You know what I mean? Like, tough life for a girl. Like, let me tell you that. So what did I do? Well, I started to actually pray. I started to learn how to pray, like, at a really young age. And I started to kind of understand God's energy and God's frequency at a really young age. I was also allowed to go to, like, temples and this and that, and so I gained a lot of wisdom from sitting through lectures at, like, I was just a child, like 3 or 4 or 5. And you know, I picked up everything, you know, I just would sit and absorb. And so I would go through difficult times, but whenever an adult around me was angry and they were taking out their anger on me, because that was happening in my life, I was always the I don't know what it's called, scapegoat, or I was always the, like, innocent being there for somebody to take out their anger on, which is, like, really, really unfair and inhumane and all these things, right? Especially because a lot of the anger was from a dominant, like, feminine energy. So I had to, like, make her, like, calm, you know what I mean? And I was a child, so that's crazy. And so that's what I went through. That's part of my personal story. And then later on in life, I struggled with depression, and I was not allowed to be myself. I felt stifled, all these things. And so I healed through all of that. I was put through a lot of control. I should make a separate video on this. I really do want to make a separate video on this. It's a lot of spiritual warfare that happens to individuals who are really pure-hearted. There's a lot of spiritual warfare that happens, and I'll make a separate video on it, but because people need to know, you know, why they've been through stuff. So this happened, and this happened to me, and so later on in life I dealt with a lot of depression, and it wasn't, you know, correlated or not, it was, like, indirectly correlated, and I still dealt with depression. So I had to heal. And healing is exactly how it sounds. It is so beautiful. You reclaim your soul, you reclaim your spirit from lifetimes, and you realize that the only one who can help you and save you is your Father who is within. Pray to him in secret. And also, you understand that you hold so much power. You have all the power. There's nothing outside of you that even exists without your subconscious creation of it, you know? So it's important that you do not say that you are in a bad situation or complain about your situation. You gotta be grateful for where you are, because if you say that you're unhappy, right, you're going to essentially decenter yourself from your position of power. You're taking yourself away from your position of main manifester of your life. And you are the manifester of your life. You are the creator of your life and of your reality. So if you don't like your current situation, don't pay attention to it, or only pay attention to the good parts of it, or even better, have gratitude for all of it and focus on how beautiful of a situation it is. It could be the worst situation in the world. It really can be, and you can still be grateful for it in a sick way. In a way that is a little, you know, oh, that's not normal. Like, why are you grateful for that situation? Because I'm a master manifester, because I'm a magician, and because I'm the creator of my reality. And so anything I go through, it makes me stronger. Anything I go through, it's my karma. Anything I go through, it's my duty to body so that I step into my pure, unbridled, unalloyed, untouched position of divine spiritual warrior. And so I win this spiritual battle. And eventually life gives you everything. God gives you everything. This is the tea on how to step into your position of creator of your reality. And this is the tea on how to actually stay there. You become very powerful. You don't let anything touch you. And eventually, nothing can. And then even more so eventually, you end up impacting and affecting the world around you with what you've learned instead of the opposite way around. Nothing touches you. Take it from me, okay? So I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching. Join my school community down below. And I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.